Hi guys, good to see you again. Welcome back to the channel. Well, back in the beautiful New Forest again, and it is an absolutely Brahma of a morning. Hardly a breath of wind, apart from the distant noise of the A31 in the distance there. All we've got is a jay squawking in the background. Something's obviously disturbed him and a few other birds, so it's a lovely morning. But we had quite a lot of rain last night, so still quite nice and damp. Still some nice colour in the bark, so yeah, should be a good session hopefully. Anyway, I've been going over my videos just lately and obviously been capturing lots of my adventures and travels and whatever, but I haven't done a tactics and tips videos lately and done a video to give you guys something back, you know, just to say thanks for all the support and also tell you what I've picked up lately to help with my landscape photography. So probably going to be 5 or 6 tips. I'm just going to have a good walk around the forest and see what I can find. I've got this lovely composition here and yeah, let's crack on with the first tip. Crikey, that jay is having a good squawk about. Anyway, tip number 1, focusing. I've got in a really good habit of focusing on live view now on my back screen. So obviously on the Canon, get it onto live screen, and then obviously I've got 5 or 6 beech trees in a row here, and I'm going to focus on the second tree. So you hit the magnifying glass twice on the Canon. So hit it twice, and then you can move around the screen. And then I'm in manual focus, and I'm going to manually focus on that tree. So manually focus, get it nice and sharp. Now that's about as sharp as my eyes can see anyway. Hit the magnifying glass again, and you know now that you're in focus. I mean, if you were focus stacking, you can do that method 2 or 3 times, depending on how many times you want to focus stack. And yeah, that's how I now focus, and I know that I'm going to be pin sharp. I'm at f9, but if I just knock that up a bit, f11, whatever, and you know you've got a good depth, and although I'm focused on that second tree, I know that, cool, that's a bit of nice light. I'm just going to have a go at that. I'm on a 10-second shutter delay, but I'll tell you about that. That's tip number 2. But yeah, I know I'm nice and sharp now. There's going to be no hunting in autofocus, and as long as I don't move the camera, zoom in or out, I know that that frame is going to be nice and sharp. Nice bit of light there. So yeah, that's tip number 1. Focus on your live screen. Right, tip number 2, shutter delay. Now when I'm shooting on the tripod and I haven't got my remote shutter release, obviously use a shutter button. Now if I was to have no delay and just press that button, it's going to take the exposure obviously instantly, and there's a chance that when I press that button it's going to wobble a bit. You know, obviously I've got the tripod raised a bit here, and there's a lot of movement. So I usually work when I've just got my wide angled lens on. It's not that heavy. The whole unit's not that heavy, you know, the body and the 1635 combined. It's not a lot of weight there. I'll talk about telephoto weights in a bit. But yeah, I usually set this to a 2-second shutter delay, and I'm pretty confident that I press the shutter button, then there's 2 seconds for everything to calm down, stop any vibration, any wobble, any movement, and then hands clear, and it takes the exposure. And I know that there's going to be hardly any chance of any movement, and the frame's going to be as sharp as possible. Now on the 5D Mark IV, there's 2 options, I think. I've not really had a good in-depth look into it, whether you can reset the timings, but there's a 2-second and a 10-second timer delay. Now when I've got the telephoto on, so when I've got my 70 to 200 on, obviously there's a heck of a lot of weight. Now even though I use my collar, my collar on the 70 to 200, which I'm going to go into in a bit, on the tripod, it's quite nicely balanced, the weight. There's still a lot of weight, and there's even more wobble than there is with the 16 to 35. So when I'm shooting on the telephoto and there's a lot of weight there, I switch that to a 10-second shutter delay, just so that I know, because obviously when you hit the shutter on this, like I've just said, and there's hardly any movement, you can be nice and gentle, press the shutter and you know you're right over 2 seconds. But on 10 seconds, it just definitely guarantees, with that extra weight and the extra movement in the tripod, when you press that shutter release, you know that you've got 10 seconds, press the shutter, take your hands off, everything's going to be nice and still. Count down 10 seconds, and as long as the light doesn't change, you know you're going to get a nice sharp frame. So yeah, that's tip number 2. Use your shutter delay. Right, tip number 3. As you can see, I'm on the 70-200 now on the telephoto, and I'm going for a bit of an abstract shot with just some nice different tones on a silver birch. But anyway, I'll show you that frame in a minute. But yeah, when I'm on the 70-200 or any heavy lens, I always use the collar foot just to balance out the weight. Like I said earlier, you know, obviously it helps for when you're on the 10-second shutter delay, hit the shutter button and there's going to be no wobble. I've seen in the past different photographers still mount the whole lot on there like that, and it just, I don't even want to let go. It just makes me wince. There's so much pressure on the bayonet fitting, on the collar there, you know, and also it's so, you've always got a risk of it gently moving, you know, and altering your exposure, altering the frame, the composition. So yeah, I would always say, always mount it on the collar if it comes with one. If it's obviously the F4 version isn't so heavy as this, but I think I would still mount it. I'd still use the collar foot just to balance out the weight a bit, you know, because that is heavier than the body. So obviously you want that mounted to carry the weight into the tripod. So yeah, that'd be tip number 3. Always use a collar. And a little bonus as well, as you saw when I was setting up, you can just unlock it and go from portrait to landscape and vice versa. So that's another good benefit of using the collar, you know, undo it and then you're in portrait or in landscape. So yeah, good tip. Tip number 3, use the collar on the telephotos. Right, just while that's taking, I'm on a 10-second shutter delay. There it goes. Tip number 4, and a mistake that I used to make a lot. I'd find a nice composition, I'd get the tripod set up, and then I wouldn't set my body up to the same level as I was looking at that composition. I'd get home and I'd think, that's not the angle that I saw. I'm sure that branch was above the other branch, or you know, something similar to that scenario. And then I'd think, hang on a minute, did I set my camera up right? So tip number 4 would always be, get your camera and set up to the same level as what you're looking at the composition. It's a silly mistake. I used to make it, well, only 2 or 3 times, and I think, hang on a minute, I didn't set my camera up to the same level. So yeah, obviously this is a 4-foot Neewer tripod, but it's really handy. It's got the 2 centre sections, so I can get it well above 6 foot. Obviously, when I'm shooting like that, there's a lot of movement, like I said earlier about the shutter delay. So I've got this on a 10-second at the moment, just to make sure you can press the shutter. Obviously I've not got my remote shutter release, but you can press the shutter, let go, you've got 10 seconds, everything will settle down, because I say there's quite a lot of movement when you've got everything extended. But I know now that when I get home, what I've composed and what I've taken on the camera will be exactly what I saw in the composition. So yeah, tip number 4, always just think about the composition and what you're looking at and get the camera set up to the same level. Right, tip number 5, I've got into a good habit of taking compositions or looking at compositions on my phone before I get my kit out. You know, 2 or 3 seconds you can be into your camera mode, have a good walk round, you can try and compose the shot, different heights, different angles, you know, and I've got into a good habit of that now, and it has helped me out. Sometimes I've come into the forest, I've done that just on a scouting trip, and I might have 20, 25 different images on the phone, and I've gone home and I've thought, yeah, and then I'll go through them and yeah, that'll work. I know to go back there now, and I'll tag it on the map so that I know exactly where to come to on a certain day. If it's a composition that needs a bit of mist, you can wait until it's a misty day, and then right, I'm going to go there today, you know, and you can sort of log different areas of where to head for different circumstances, different conditions. So yeah, that would be tip number 5. Always get your phone out and have a good look round, different angles, high, low, whatever. You know, distance, whatever, you know, colour, black and white, you can go with whatever you like, you know, on the phone, and then you know that either to get your kit out and have a go at it if the conditions are right, or you can come back and you've got it logged in your phone in different files, you know. I've got different parts of the forest in different files on my phone so that I know where to go to. But yeah, good habit to get into trying out the compositions on your phone first. Just one final little tip, well, it's not really a tip as much, it's more of a kit thing that I've got, is the old L bracket, the pig iron. This is a pig iron, about £20 off eBay this was, I think they're the same sort of price on Amazon. I think 3-legged thing do a more expensive one. There's lots out there, but for 20 quid this does me. And it's I know quite a few people alter the ball and put it into portrait by using the ball, but I just find it so much quicker. You're not moving any components, just undoing it, swapping it into portrait, locking it up again, and you've almost still got your composition set, but obviously in portrait mode. So yeah, that's a really handy piece of kit that I just thought I'd let you know. I think most of you guys have probably got them, but I know when I first started I didn't, and I was using the ball. But yeah, handy piece of kit. It's got the gap there obviously for any of your ports that you need to get into. I've seen some guys offset it so that you can, it's just the one fastening at the bottom, and you can offset it so that you can get these little rubber doors open. But yeah, really handy bit of kit that for 20 quid. So highly recommend it. So yeah, just a little extra tip there. Well, I hope them few tips have helped you out, guys. So they're only pretty basic ones, but they've certainly improved my landscape no end. You know, I'm going home a lot more confident now that I've got the right frame nice and sharp, you know, using the live screen, and I know there's going to be no wobble with the shutter delay. So yeah, and I really do use my phone an awful lot to check for compositions. It works really well, and I like to go home and then look at what I've captured on the phone and know to go back, you know. But anyway, job's a good one. Time to go home now. Got loads of admin work to do, so desk for the afternoon, I think. But well, I hope you've enjoyed that, guys. Leave any comments below, let me know any other tips that you might have, or things that you do different to what I've just shown. It'd be great to hear from you, and if you could remember to hit the like button, that'd be much appreciated. Probably the best way, I keep saying it, but whoa, it's gone a bit dark, crikey. Best way to help out the channel by giving it a like, that'd be much appreciated. Subscribe if you haven't, and yeah, job's a good one. Home for a coffee now. Thanks ever so much for watching, guys. Take care, catch up soon.